Juan, great to have you on the Slices Technology AI podcast. How's it going?
Pretty good. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in. First off, you're walking down the street. I say this every time to someone. You're walking down the street. Someone sees you in a Yuno sweatshirt. They say, "What does Yuno do?" What do you tell them?
So we are a global payment infrastructure company. We help large enterprises process payments and accept payments around the world.
And when we think about when you first started this company, what kind of led to the final step to saying, "All right, I'm going to start Yuno"?
Well, so before you know, I co-founded Rappi. Rappi is a super app in Latin America, and as a merchant, we always struggle to connect to all the different payment providers. So, in the past 5 6 years, payments have undergone a big transformation, and there are kind of two parts. First of all, more payments are moving online, and this creates an issue because the payment system wasn't that used to receiving credit card and payments online. And the second is that APMs or alternative payment methods are growing worldwide, and we're seeing that in the US, paying with Cash App or Venmo is becoming a thing, and we see this trend all over the world where payments, for example, in Indonesia are mostly though with digital wallets. Cash is still super popular in Mexico, and you need to accept basically cash-based payments, and this creates a big issue for companies because working with like a Stripe or Adyen is not really enough. You have to work with multiple providers, you have to do multiple integrations, and then as payment and card schemes and all these different companies come out with new functionalities, you need to integrate those. So we abstract all that complexity and we help them basically process payments better. So the company got started because of, as a merchant, I saw the kind of the need for a software that will simplify payments, and this is why we started the company.
And obviously on this podcast, we tend to focus on all things AI. Talk me through how you're leveraging at AI, machine learning, every day.
Perfect. So there are many parts where we're using AI to basically improve payments. Number one, we started using AI basically helping our developers be more efficient. We saw that with the LLMs and everything being built around it, there were different tools that could help us basically ship faster and then also better code. So many of the things that were being done manual, like unit testing the costs, were being done automatically by models that we're training. And then we do a bunch of integrations around the world. And what we saw after doing 100 integrations was that it was kind of like a repairable system. We had to read the documentation, you have to map out the different endpoints and the different things, and then we basically had to test that everything worked. So what humans had to do in 1 2 weeks, we basically replace it with a model that today does this within a couple of minutes. So we have been able to cut down the time that it takes us to integrate new payment providers. Then in the kind of consumer side, we're building different models to route transactions to the better processor. So many times a company uses 5 different processors or acquired banks, and they're trying to decide where should I send these transactions, and this is being done automatically using machine learning models. And then on top of that, I'm not sure if this has happened to you, but sometimes you're trying to buy something online, the transaction gets declined, and you get frustrated and you don't know what to do. We are just launching a new automatic AI agent that calls you, and it feels extremely, it's so crazy how real it feels, and it starts talking to you like, hey, you were trying to make a payment and it didn't work, and it guides you on ways to basically try a different car, or it gives you a phone number of your bank to call you. So it is basically doing something that before it was extremely costly, like we're not going to be able to use humans to call, but because it's done automatically, we're basically able to help the users of our merchants to get their payment approved.
It's super interesting because it's not even in a different country. Sometimes if I'm in a different state, it gets declined, right? Like you're not where you're supposed to be, as if we only stay in one area as humans, right? Uh,
Yeah,
which,
yeah,
which is frustrating. So when you when you start to implement stuff like that, what kind of goes through your head in that decision making process to get to that point, right? Because as you're building, there's so many things that probably you want to add to roadmap, but you can only pick and choose certain things. Um, Something I'm always interested in is in the decision making process. Like, how do you decide what makes it to roadmap and what maybe gets shelved?
Look, there are kind of like two ways how this happens. First of all, we're constantly doing hackathons around AI. We basically, from like Thursday through Sunday, whoever is optional, but whoever wants to participate, we do teams and then they have to build something with AI. And it has to basically help us increase revenue or decrease costs. Those are the only two requirements, and they can do whatever they want. This we have done a couple of times, and a bunch of different things have come out of this. So because it's only 4 days, we are able to get to an MVP and a product that we can use and test. So in these cases, we just test it, and if it works and we're seeing results, we just basically roadmap it and we keep improving upon it. The other way is that we hear about something cool or someone has an idea and this becomes a little bit more complicated. The way we work, we're really fast at developing, so we like to, when we see something may work, and that may work is just that we have assumptions, we talk to customers and customers say that we're willing to try it. We just develop it, the simplest version ever that could take a couple of days, and we ship it and we try it. And many times it doesn't work and we have to shut it down. Many times it works, but then as we scale it, we see that doesn't really work. And other times it's a completely blockbuster, like we are able to see real results and we are able to scale it and basically ship it to all of our customers.
I love it. Juan, when we think about payments 3.0, how do you define that? And really, how does it differ from payments 2.0 that we've been hearing about, for a while as well?
Yeah, so look, the payment ecosystem is kind of new. Like credit cards were invented like in the 1950s in a way, and that's when kind of Visa, Mastercard, American Express, diners all were born during that time. And they were like all made to work in a physical space. So in the 2000s, when websites are coming up and we had this revolution of being able to pay online, I think this is the transition to payment 2.0. So payments 1.0 is that I was able to accept credit cards and debit cards, and it was kind of like in the old world of going to a store, giving your card, someone calling to authorize the car, or using the machine to get your card number, to what we used to call the knuckle buster, and it was this really heavy machine that you had to pass your card through. Payments 2.0 is this kind of moving into card not present transaction, e-commerce, using your card online. And the idea is that basically companies had one acquirer or gateway to process those payments, and it was pretty easy because it was only credit cards and debit cards. Where we are today is this kind of payments 3.0 is that payments have gotten a lot more complex. You have different payment methods, you have wallets, you have bank transfer, you have cash, you have all these different parts, and it's this new way where companies are looking for solutions to help them kind of be able to accept all the different payment methods without increasing the complexity in their systems.
Why? So, at what point did payments 3.0 make its way into the conversation? Because it seems like, obviously, like there was some time in between payments 2.0 and payments 3.0, but when did you start kind of hearing the rumblings of payments 3.0 in your world, right? Because you're going to hear about it before most people.
This is super new. I think it's something that we're starting to hear in the past, I will say 6 to 12 months at the most. Look, when we started Yuno 3 years ago, we had to explain what payment orchestration was. We had to kind of show companies that it was important to accept more than just credit cards around the world. And it took us a lot of time to kind of explain to them. If you talk to any company today, they kind of know the importance of APMs, of all these different payment methods. And this is where this term of payments 3.0 have become a lot more relevant, but it's a new term.
I want to shift focus a little bit here to the HumanX Conference. Would love to hear what you're thinking about this. I'm super pumped about it. I think it's going to be a great group of people. We're going to learn a lot. Would love to hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah, so AI has become, the latest buzzword, and we always hear news and we talk to people, but it's really hard to actually understand and go deep into what companies are doing and what experts think, and to get ideas on what to do. So, we finally have a space where once a year we're gonna get together, and we're gonna be able to listen, as decision makers, or as people kind of using AI in the real world, to be able to share their experiences. So I think it's going to be that place where we're gonna be able to share knowledge, to learn new things, and to practically kind of know what to do with AI, because today there is no place where we can get all this information, and talk to people that are struggling, or using and benefiting from AI.
When we talk about what's next for Yuno, first off, what excites you about the future of Yuno? And then kind of second, what is next? Where do you see 2025? What's going to be happening?
Yeah, so it excites me to see how well we have been able to grow around the world, and the real impact that we're having. Like, we're seeing, increases in approval rates that basically turns into increase of revenues between 5 to 10%. We're seeing decrease in costs up to 20-30%. So we're seeing kind of the real results from, big enterprises around the world. And next year, and what is next, is to continue that international expansion. We're growing really well in APAC, in China, in Singapore, in all of Southeast Asia. We're starting to open an office and grow in Europe, and expanding to the Middle East and North Africa, and that's going to be a challenge for next year. And we were kind of working towards being that global leader in payment infrastructure and in payment orchestration, and that is going to happen, I will believe, next year.
I love it. One or two more questions before we wrap up here. This is a fun one, or maybe it brings up some bad memories, so then it's not so fun. What's something you can laugh about now, but made you want to cry when it first happened when building,
That's a really good question. I think at the beginning, when we expanded into Asia, it was extremely difficult, trying to figure out what to do, which way to go, having to wake up extremely early or go to sleep really late to be able to talk to the teams and get the interviews and talk to the customers. Today, I think we were able to crack it. We were able to build an amazing team, and we're seeing kind of the results coming in from everything that we planted the past 12 to 24 months. So I think that was extremely painful, but today is something that is working out really well.
I'm glad we didn't pull on any, bad threads from the past. People's faces are like one, like I'm like, oh no, I just gave PTSD right now.
Yeah.
Last question for you. This segment's called "Show Them Some Love." So outside of you, this doesn't have to be your space. What are a few companies that you really admire, or you're a fan of? It can be in the payments industry. It can be outside, but ideally,
in the payments industry, I think both Stripe and Adyen have done an incredible job. They completely modernized online payments, and they have done something amazing. Both of them are partners, and they are connected to Yuno. So we're constantly working with them, but I think they're both some impressive that completely changed how payments were processed, how things were being done, and are pushing always the boundary.
What was the second one you said? It was Stripe and...
Yeah, and Adyen is...
Adyen.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Juan, I want to thank you so much for joining us here today, sharing a little bit about Yuno and Payments 3.0 and what the future holds for Yuno. Wishing you all the best of luck, and excited to hopefully see you at the HumanX Conference.
Yeah, we'll see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.